So hey guys, and here we are about to start the third season in this EA F1 Manager Minardi Manager career mode. And well, yeah, we're about to start the third season, the first race of the season around Australia, Albert Park, and it's going to be a very interesting race actually. Obviously it's Australia, it's Albert Park, it usually throws up a half decent race, plus also it's the start of a new season, which is always interesting to find out where the teams are in terms of pace. Obviously we saw in pre-season testing a general idea, but as we saw last season, teams that were very slow in pre-season testing, such as Williams, ended up being quick once the season started, so it's impossible to say really. One thing I can say though, is I always aimed to have this year's Minardi be as quick as last year's Ferrari. Now, obviously on screen now you'll see the pre-season testing results that we just saw in the last episode. So the 2001 pre-season testing results, obviously, where Luca Badoer in our new Minardi set a lap time of a 1:25.8, blistering lap time. Now here's the results of pre-season testing in 2000, with Luca Badoer, the same driver in that dominant Ferrari last year, did a 1:28. So in pre-season testing we're 2.2 seconds a lap quicker than Ferrari around the Circuit de Catalunya. Obviously Ferrari's developed, but we're so much quicker than they were, and they were dominant last year, and they were a one-man team as well because they had Neil McEwen. So yeah, it should be an interesting thing. And one other thing I want to say is obviously it links back to pre-season testing, but they've updated the manager ratings, and I don't quite understand what they've done. As you can see, Tom Walkinshaw in the Arrows is rated the highest now. I sort of see why, because Arrows are now no longer the slowest team on the grid. They should be the second slowest. Should be quicker than Prost if pre-season testing's correct. Ron Dennis, I think that's completely stupid considering how slow McLaren were in pre-season testing. But basically, I think most of these manager ratings are completely flawed. I don't know what on earth they've based it on. Yeah. Especially as we're down in 9th, even though we were the fastest in pre-season testing. I don't know. But anyway, Australian Grand Prix, Albert Park. I'm clicking on the wrong thing. But yep, Australian Grand Prix, Albert Park for the first round in the 2001 season. And what a season this looks like it could be already. So here are the results for practice for the Australian Grand Prix 2001, and now these are way more insightful than pre-season testing itself. Obviously you've got Olivier Panis in the Prost, who for some reason only did one lap, and that was an outlap, so it's quite unfair to say he is the slowest because he's only done an outlap. Marc Genet, incredibly slow, was actually slower than Minardi in the Prost. But Minardi was slower than Jean Alesi in the Arrows, so Jean Alesi obviously a new Arrows driver, and Alesi's proving why Arrows needed a good driver, because look, he's 2.5 seconds ahead of Genet. So, and also in fact Alesi is quicker than Minardi, but we know Minardi isn't exactly a very quick driver, as we've seen previously this series. In terms of rookies, you got Sarrazin way down in 18th in the Benetton. You got Stephen Watson in the Williams, way down in 16th. Any other rookies? No, obviously Patrick Lamarie, I think, is the third and final rookie, and he's in 6th in the BAR. Now we know the BAR is one of the strongest cars on the grid, and he's in 6th. His teammate Fizzy Keller's in 4th. So BAR are looking very strong. McLaren are looking much stronger than I thought they would, considering they got not very good chassis and engines, etc. But Jacques Villeneuve's in 5th, and Irvine is in 7th. Both Stewart, obviously last year we saw him do very well in pre-season testing, but completely flop once the season started. This season, Stewart, obviously they've got our former driver pairing, but 8th and 9th in practice shows that Stewart might genuinely have some pace in the actual season this season. And Damon Hill's quicker than Mika Salo, which we didn't see happen all that often last year. Quite most of the time it was Salo who was quicker than Damon Hill when they were both with us, but this year initially it's proving to be the other way round. And finally, Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Ferrari, 10th. So he's not doing very well. Not getting to grips with that Ferrari, and we know Frentzen is a good driver, but Schumacher first. So there you go, Michael Schumacher is still looking on form, despite the fact that the Ferrari in pre-season testing really wasn't all that quick. But then again, at the same time, you got the Jordan, which was the second quickest in pre-season testing, and now look, they're 11th, and who's the other Jordan driver? Oh yeah, De La Rosa down in 15th, so Jordan have completely flopped on pre-season testing. And so yeah, pre-season testing such an unreliable source, as it turns out. But yeah, we haven't got the new aero parts, engine upgrades, electronics upgrades and all that we got after pre-season testing. We haven't got them on the car yet. So I'm going to put them on the car in time for qualifying. And yeah, we'll have to see if we can actually beat Michael Schumacher, or whether Schumacher's going to take his 17th straight pole position in Formula 1. So the first hour-long qualifying session of 2001 has ended, and really what an exciting qualifying session this was, with lots of interesting results, so let's go through them now. This is Minardi 1-2 for the first round of the 2001 season here at Australia, with Mika Häkkinen and David Coulthard both finding masses of time from free practice, and Mika Häkkinen was in fact the only driver all session to set a sub 1:30 lap. In fact, he actually did a lap of 1 minute 28.8, which even his teammate couldn't come anywhere near to. Third is the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher, and his run of straight pole positions has finally ended at a record-breaking 16, and he wasn't able to grab his 17th one here, as the Minardis have just become electric in terms of pace, which the Ferrari hasn't quite been able to maintain from last year. Fourth, unsurprisingly, is a BAR. But what is surprising is the fact that the BAR is being driven by Patrick Lamarie. So Patrick Lamarie, on his rookie season, and in fact his debut Formula 1 race, was able to line up behind two former world champions, and not only that, was able to beat his teammate Giancarlo Fisichella, who has way more experience than Patrick Lamarie does. Fifth is the McLaren driven by Jacques Villeneuve, who's done very well to line that car up in 5th, considering that the McLaren has very obvious flaws, most of which are carried over from last year, but Jacques Villeneuve has done a very good job to get it into 5th. Finally, we'll have the second Ferrari driven by Heinz-Harald Frentzen in 6th. Now, Frentzen struggled massively with the pace of his Ferrari in free practice, but has been able to find masses of time in time for qualifying, and isn't too far behind his world champion teammate. The former Minardi driver Mika Salo has done very well to line up in 7th, with the other McLaren driver Eddie Irvine in 8th, sandwiched by the other Stewart and former Minardi driver Damon Hill in 9th. It was a good qualifying session for rookies, as Stephen Watson in the Williams was able to out-qualify Ralf Schumacher, as Stephen Watson's in 10th and Ralf Schumacher's in 11th. Then we got Giancarlo Fisichella in the BAR in 12th, who was massively out-qualified from his less experienced teammate who's in 4th. Next is both Jordans of Trulli and De La Rosa with Trulli in front, then both Benettons with Barrichello ahead of Sarrazin. Jean Alesi has an amazing qualifying session in the struggling Arrows team, as Jean Alesi qualifies the Arrows to 17th place ahead of both Saubers headed by Wirtz and both Prost headed by Olivier Panis, and then with Jean Alesi's teammate Marc Genet still at the back of the field in last place. So hey guys, and here we are at the pre-race strategy screen, and as you can see, Ross Brawn, our technical director, has hopefully come up with a masterclass strategy, because obviously around this time, you know, the early 2000s, Ross Brawn was a master strategist with the Ferrari team, and now the fact that we've got him and he's doing our race strategy means that, well, we should be dominant in the race because of how much of a great tactician and strategist Ross Brawn is. But as you can see, I've calculated the fuel out myself, because obviously with the horrible experiences with Mike Gascoigne and possibly also with Gustav Brunner miscalculating the fuel, I'm not going to take any chances with Ross Brawn, just because, well, I know that this game is slightly broken despite the fact how amazing Ross Brawn is. And as you can see on the car strategy screen, look, I've applied all the aerodynamic upgrades and all the supplied upgrades, but look, a chassis rated 100. This is what we waited for 2 whole years, a good chassis. Because obviously in 99 and 2000 we had a Gabriel Chiedosi chassis, but finally we've got a 100 rated Neil Oatley chassis. So we've got a perfect chassis, and hopefully, well, in time, obviously, once Neil Oatley designs more aero parts and our suppliers give us better parts, we're going to have a car that's rated extremely highly, and this is why we're doing so well, obviously combined with the fact that Mika Hakkinen is clearly dominant actually as a driver. But then again, we saw a similar thing in 99 where Mika Hakkinen was not dominant but definitely on top in terms of the in this series compared to Michael Schumacher, and certainly compared to David Coulthard. But anyway, the championship hunt starts now for the 2001 Australian Grand Prix, and TV camera, of course. Let's find out how the 2001 season is going to play out. Okay then, so Fisichella's had a shocking start. I think he's been jumped by a Williams, or was he behind those Williams cars in the first place? Oh, of course, Fisichella, such a poor qualifying, he's going to be stuck in the air, the concertina. But it looks like nothing overly dramatic has happened at the start. Yeah, and I think we're looking on board with Sarrazin, so obviously the temporary Minardi driver in the real-life 99 season. In the Brazilian Grand Prix, I think he replaced Luca Badoa. And now it's good to see him with a permanent race seat and at the Benetton team as well. You know, even this season, even despite how much they've struggled in pre-season testing and so far in the race, you know, they've been a fairly strong. It's still a fairly strong team for Sarrazin to be at. And now as you can see, Villeneuve's dropped away back from the trio, which did so many great things in 99. Obviously, the trio, which was at the forefront of speed in 99, was Hakkinen, Schumacher, and to a lesser extent David Coulthard. And that same trio have pulled away from Villeneuve, and also the other man who was also at the forefront of speed in 99, Eddie Irvine. I don't even know where Eddie Irvine is. I cannot see him. But Villeneuve in 4th, yeah, he's away back from just everyone else, really. Well, not from everyone else, but just, look, you can hardly see Schumacher in the distance. That is the dominance of the top 3. And now this is Schumacher. Is this Schumacher trying to make the move on David Coulthard? Come on, David, you've got to resist this. Well, he's not even close. Okay, Schumacher wasn't even close. Obviously, we've got a power advantage on the Ferrari car, the Mercedes-Benz engine. There's the Buzz and Hornets Prost, which someone did actually comment saying that they thought it looked quite good. I don't know, I think it's growing on me actually. I think it looks a bit better than I remember it doing. But also it's weird to see Buzz and Hornets on the Prost car anyway. And Zanardi in 20th. Genet. Come on, Genet, you can do better than this. Better than 22nd, but then again, he's in an Arrows. But yeah, we're just going to have to see, well, how this race plays out. Come on, David. I kind of want David Coulthard to beat Mika Hakkinen in the championship. Now, I could just, if I wanted to do that, honestly, I could just, well, actually, let me put my theory to the test. If I told Mika Hakkinen to ease off, would David Coulthard catch up? Oh, dramatically. So I could, if I wanted to, rig this season in my favour and have David Coulthard win the championship. Actually, if you guys Okay, no, David Coulthard's ahead now. Well, Hakkinen will get past very soon. Yeah, that could be an interesting one if you guys want me to rig the championship. If you want me to make it more difficult and try and get David Coulthard to win the championship, then I can do that. Jean Lacey in the Arrows was doing so well. He was qualified 17th in the Arrows, and out with a driver error. Schumacher's got past Coulthard. That is worrying. Schumacher's catch up to Hakkinen. Okay, hang on a sec. Hakkinen is on pole position. Yeah. Okay, maybe we won't be seeing Hakkinen dominance this season. I'm still trying to work out whether we are dominant compared to everyone else. But it looks like, well, compared to everyone else, yes, but apart from Schumacher, who... Where's Schumacher gone? Okay. I think he pitted a bit before us. And now we're out... Okay. Well, okay, in all of this, we've got both Saubers out with driver errors, so Diniz and Wirtz out with driver errors, and Stephen Watson, the rookie, also out with a driver error, and that's why Williams need to get 2 experienced drivers. Olivier Panis with a Prost bargeboard failure, and in all, okay, I was about to say in all of this, Hakkinen still hasn't got past Schumacher. He has now though. Coulthard is not as quick as I thought he would be. We'll turn to push come the end of the race, see if we can get a Minardi 1-2. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, I like David Coulthard, and I want him to win the championship in a way. One, because, well, he's British and I always support the British drivers. But 2, I've got a small claim to fame with David Coulthard, and since nothing is happening this race, I'll tell you. Basically, okay, where's Schumacher gone? Okay, probably just pitted. There you go. But basically, because my mum used to get, before she met my dad and everything, my mum used to go to a few races and, you know, with a few friends of hers, and well, that's gutting, isn't it? David Coulthard out of an engine failure, so even in 2001 we probably won't get a Minardi 1-2. Well, not in the first round of 2001. Okay, well, Mercedes have clearly slipped from last year. But it looks like Hakkinen should easily win this race. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, my mum used to go to a few F1 races, well, a few motorsport races, but she couldn't because she was pregnant with me. I don't know when this was actually. Well, obviously it must have been 98. Yeah, the 98 British Grand Prix. Yeah, don't know when it is. Yeah, it must have been the 98 British Grand Prix, and my mum's friend went to the British Grand Prix, and I think they went during free practice or something. But anyway, after the session or whatever, they saw David Coulthard, and my mum's friend was like, "Oh, can you? Yeah, I've got my friend on the phone who couldn't make it because she's pregnant. So can you speak to my friend for me?" And David Coulthard apparently was really cool about it and just said, "Yeah, sure," and was just chatting on the phone to my mum for 5 minutes. And so really, and during that phone conversation, David Coulthard wished good luck to my mum and wished good luck to me before I was even born. So that's why I like David Coulthard, amongst all the other reasons. He wished me good luck in life. And yeah, that's basically why I like him. But, oh, why is the game lagging? Is it because we're going to get a Minardi win? Is that why the game's lagging? Okay, well, we're 27 seconds ahead. Going back to the actual race, we're 27 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher. Where are we? Okay, so Hakkinen's there. Irvine's down 8th, okay. No, I want to find Michael Schumacher. There we go. Schumacher, oh, he's a way off. He's only just gone past the first corner. And we are, well, Hakkinen is rather, coming up to the second sector. Well, he's in the second sector, am I right? Yeah, this is definitely the second sector. We've done an amazing job this race to it. Well, okay, Hakkinen has. Apart from that one time where we told him to ease off on pace. I feel kind of bad for doing that now. But I just want to prove a point how we could have David Coulthard win the championship if he doesn't suffer engine failures, which is quite... It's quite worrying how we've had an engine failure already at the start of the season. But thanks to Häkkinen having a superb drive, and he's been dominant, and his pace has been dominant this entire race weekend, where we're going to come round the last corner. There's a Prost ahead who seems to be worrying a bit Mika Häkkinen, but we're going to come around the last corner to win the 2001 Australian Grand Prix, and this could be the start of a brilliant season for Minardi. Let's just see where Schumi is. Did I see a pass then? Okay. Where's Michael Schumacher? Do I want to wait for him? Yeah, I will, because he's right near the end of the race. So Michael Schumacher, who's going to be the only person... Michael Schumacher is the only person who's really close to us on race pace. So we have got to watch out for this man. He's taken second this race. Probably would have been third if David Coulthard didn't retire, but we have got to watch out for Michael Schumacher. Definitely. It's a repeat of 99. The only difference is Häkkinen is in a Minardi this time, not a McLaren. And as you can see now on the screen, well, you would have seen it for a while actually, but there's a little graphic here which I've... Basically, it's made by a good YouTuber friend of mine, DMad96. I think, I don't even know, he gave me the Photoshop file months ago, and I haven't used it. And I thought I'll use it for the start of this season. I'm going to use it for every race this season. So race winner, Mika Häkkinen. He gave me that Photoshop file just because he's a nice guy. So be sure to subscribe to DMad96. He's a great F1 YouTuber. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. And yeah, he's basically the one who gave me this graphic. Now it can go now, because I think that graphic's been on there for ages. But anyway, Häkkinen winning the 2001 Australian Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher second. Patrick Lamarie, in his debut race in Formula 1, has finished third in the BAR. That is a massive achievement. Mika Salo, our former driver, in fourth. And in fact, Mika Salo, in the first... I think in Australia last year, he didn't score a point in Australia last year with Minardi. But Australia this year, he has scored 3 points for Stewart. It's good to see he's still at the top, near the top of Formula 1, and Stewart doing well. Fizzy Keller been completely outclassed by his teammate, which I'd be worried if I was him. And then you got Jacques Villeneuve picking up the last point in 6th place for the McLaren team. Damon Hill in 8th. Okay, so Mika Salo has still again outclassed Damon Hill when it comes to the race, which we saw last year. And where did Genet finish in the end? 12. Okay, so Genet actually beat Sarrazin in the Benetton and Zanardi in the Prost. Arrows do actually have a somewhat promising season ahead of them, especially as Jean Alesi retired this race. Well, there you go. I mean, there you go. So Ferrari do seem to be way more on top of things than they seem to be in pre-season testing. And Jordan are nowhere. Okay, well, Trulli was in 7th, but yeah, this had Jordan, considering they finished second in pre-season testing, and I bet you that's because their pre-season test driver, was Johnny Herbert, and obviously he was by far and away the best driver at pre-season testing, and it was his skill that gave him Jordan second, clearly, because the Jordan car is not good. Well, he's got the second best chassis on the grid, but what use is that when you've got a rubbish engine and rubbish supplied parts and a rubbish designer working for you now? But anyway, Mika Häkkinen took the checker flag ahead of Michael Schumacher. Yep. Okay, well there you go. So Ross Brawn with the race report. Ross Brawn, it looked like his strategy wasn't going to work, but it did end up working in the end. Oh! Initial signs is that the tech race is going to be between us and BAR. Even though Ferrari have Rory Bryn. Yes, Ferrari have Rory Bryn, but BAR do have Mark Smith, so BAR do have the third best designer. Okay, it seems sort of logical. I thought the tech race would be between us and Ferrari. It turns out initially it's going to be between us and BAR. And there's Stefano Domenicali saying, "The Formula 1 world was simply amazed by our performance at Australia. Well, they know how Minardi was for... The problem is, Formula 1, they know how Minardi had been for over a decade. They know Minardi had been at or near the back. But now we've got decent drivers, parts, everything. That's why the Formula 1 world is amazed. If anything, I'm surprised they didn't see it coming before this race. But there you go, the Formula 1 world was amazed by our performance at Australia. And there you go. Hopefully the sponsors should be happy. Yes, they're all very happy. All 5 sponsors. Drivers' Championship, Mika Häkkinen is leading it, obviously. Constructors' Championship. Yep, okay, so... Oh, it's exactly... No, it's not exactly the same, actually, because, of course, BAR are level on points with Ferrari. Yeah, and what about the manager rating, actually? Am I rated the best manager? Yes, that is a relief, actually. Because I didn't even win the manager rating championship last year. I probably would have done if we had a good end to the season, but Jean Todt took it in the end. Craig Pollock, the manager for BAR, rightly the second best manager so far. Paul Stewart, again, rightly the third best manager. Actually, Paul Stewart was rated the best manager at the end of 99, so... There you go, and Frank Williams now rated the worst manager. Well, to me, this game, it always seems to rate the managers who are the best in real life as the worst. But there you go. But anyway, the next race, I think I might have rambled quite a lot this episode. I am sorry about that. It's just I want to, you know, I've just got a few things I wanted to say really about the series, about my thoughts on the car's pace. So I know I did ramble a bit this episode. That won't be the case for every other episode this series. But yeah, Interlagos, and actually, if you look here, the race lap record was set by Mika Häkkinen. If that doesn't tell you we're going to win, I don't know what does. So we should win the Brazilian Grand Prix, especially as I remember the Brazilian Grand Prix last year, in terms of qualifying, was phenomenal. We actually, last year, we qualified 2nd and 3rd behind Michael Schumacher last year. And really, the Brazilian qualifying session was the first sign that Minardi were going to do great things, really. And so basically, Brazil holds a fair bit of good history for us. Not that wasn't the case in '99, we had a double retirement, but there you go, Brazil. It's going to be a good race, I'm sure of it. Maybe even be able to beat the race lap record. Actually, did we beat the race lap record in Australia? Apparently not. Maybe it doesn't update. Well, it should do. I don't know. But that's the race lap record. We're going to try and see if we can beat it. And yeah, I'll see you guys for that race. Which won't... But I should also quickly say, the next episode of F1 Manager won't be out next week. I've got another special Halloween one-off video lined up next weekend. So the Brazilian Grand Prix will be out in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to it. I'm sure you are. And we've got to see how well Minardi's going to do in future races. And see if we can actually finally win both World Championships. So I'll see you then.